Common sense isn't gone. It just needs a comeback. Common Sense Superheroes with David and Greg.
My name is David. I am your host, and that, of course, is Kid Rock, and we'll get into that a little later with the double halftime show. But let me first introduce the man with the golden voice, who I keep getting reminded has a better voice than me by every damn body on social media or that I meet, Mr. Greg Miller. What's up, Gregory?
David, if it makes you feel any better, even though I have gotten some compliments on my beautiful radio voice, I have been miffed by everybody says you're the entertaining one. And I'm
Well,
like, no, son of a bitch, I'm funny, damn it.
I really wish they'd talk about my good looks, but they'll leave that part out. But I'll take entertaining. Well, I'll take what I can get.
Hey, that's the story of my life, brother. I'm not trying to beg for much. Just take what's in front of me and roll with it.
Well, if Greg is anything, he does not only has a golden voice, is a gambler at heart. I think he has been since I've known him, and he's been on a hot streak. Although last night for Super Bowl 60, I think we evened things up a little bit because the game itself was the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots, and the Seahawks won their second Super Bowl 29-13 in Santa Clara, California, and San Francisco. Greg, you got any takes on the game? We'll get into more details, but anything you want to pop off quick?
I mean, I think you just start by, kudos to Seattle. I mean, they showed last night that they were legit. They were for real. You touched on it on the last episode. The Patriots had some offensive line issues, and that manifested itself big time last night. And that was ultimately the story of the game. They just could not handle the defensive front from Seattle, and the Patriots were really never even a threat. The only touchdown they had almost felt like a fluke. It just felt like a couple of long passes where they were just throwing up for some chunk plays. No, kudos to Seattle, well deserved, and that's a pretty strong squad with a good coaching staff and a bright future.
I don't have many hunches, but in my mind, I just had the hunch that Seattle was just gonna. I didn't have trust in the offensive line for the New England. I don't know what it was that told me that, but games prior I watched, I seemed like there was little holes in it, and I just had a feeling that they were gonna try to bring the house at the young guy because that's exactly what I would do. I would try to bring the house, and that seemed to be happening early on from the get go. They brought some guys in. I know mostly it was a four-man rush that they just couldn't stop, but they threw some blitzes in there off the corners and whatnot that I thought was quite impressive.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really surprised me, kind of thought Drake May's legs might be a little more effective. I thought he might be able to scramble to pick up some first down to keep some drives alive. And that was really why I said, gun to my head, if I was picking a side on the game, I would have taken the Patriots plus the 4.5. I thought that was the right side mathematically based on the
Which you
numbers.
did, Ed. Took a
But
L
I
on
thought
that
I
one.
thought yeah, I thought Drake May would scramble. I thought I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd rushed for 40 or 50 yards, picking up some nice chunk plays. But it was obvious the Patriots offense just had no shot moving the ball, and it was a dominant 29-13.
It was, and that first quarter was dominant on both sides for both defenses. Because hell, Seattle couldn't do nothing that first quarter, and I know Tyler had spoke and mentioned, and it was true in the end that the run game's gonna be the difference maker, but in that first quarter, nobody did anything, and Kenneth Walker, who ended up getting the MVP, which deservingly so, and that's who I picked to win the MVP. I mean, really, he had quite a few yards. He had 27 carries for 135 rushing yards, but he had over 160 total yards from scrimmage. But that's a little misconceiving because really outside of those two big plays, there wasn't a whole lot that really stood out drastically. I mean, he got some tough, gritty yards of about 70 or 80, but those two big plays that he busted open is what won it for him. But those wasn't flukes by no mean, but it wasn't the dominant performance at running back that I was expecting.
No, and we kind of touched on that. The game script played out about like I thought it would. I didn't think either team was going to have a ton of success running the ball. When you mentioned Kenneth Walker as your MVP candidate or one of your go-to guys, I mean, I told you he was going to have to work for it. I mean, he got damn near 30 carries,
It wasn't
and he
going
was
out on a
impressive.
big limb by no means, but that is who I picked.
But even like I said, he got stuffed a lot. I mean, he's a workhorse dude, and he popped a couple, and that ultimately ended up being the difference in the game.
Has a hell of a story too. Wasn't it something like he had like a blood clot issue where they had to They wasn't worried they wasn't thinking he was gonna be able to continue playing, but they got on some kinda new medication and able for him to continue playing in college, and obviously you see what's came of it, but pretty impressive story, and if you heard him talk afterwards, seemed like a good young dude. I mean, just, you know, nice guy. I mean, story's great. It's good family.
I will tell you, and you and I have, we touched on a little bit in some of our early episodes, and we haven't gotten back around to a lot of discussions around faith and spirituality and stuff like that. But that's one thing I have really started to notice across the games in professional sports and in college sports is the amount of players who are comfortable getting out there and professing their faith, giving glory to God. I don't know how much of it's real, but real or not, it's just good to hear these days.
Well, if you can take the ball one time and then somebody could almost end your walking career, you kinda wanna have a little faith in God because 'cause you're like, at any second, not only can he take it away, that, 265-pound linebacker going about 4'240" can also take it away from me, so you seem to have a little more faith in that, but Kenneth Walker they had faith in Kenneth Walker, and he stood up to it. Like I said, he was the, MVP of the Super Bowl and the first running back since 1998 to get the MVP. Greg, can you name who that last running back in 1998 to win the
I'm gonna go
MVP?
with Terrell Davis.
Yeah, it is. I knew you'd get it, Georgia boy. I knew it, but and I thought it was the one. I was like, when I first saw it, I was like, "Is that the one against the Falcons?" Because that was going to piss me off. But that was the year prior. But it was against the Green Bay Packers. But Kenneth Walker, well deserved. Jackson Smith in G-Bay
And
in
Jigba.
Jigba got a little shut down on another one of your bets. You had, s let's
He
see,
did. I was looking at him on his receptions total, and injuries are part of a game, especially in football. And when a cat's
concussion
out, that
protocol
just
slowed him
changes the
down a
game
bit.
plan. But you gamble long enough, and it's funny as a gambler, we all remember the heartbreaking losses. We all remember the last second kick in the nuts. We all win those bets too. We all get lucky and win bets we don't deserve to win. So yeah, I mean, would I, if I had had a substantial chunk of money on that, would I have been pissed off that he went in the tent and then went back in the locker room? Absolutely. I'd have told him to rub some dirt on it, get out there, and make a few catches.
Come on, it's
But
Super
luckily,
Bowl,
it wasn't.
man.
It
Who
was.
cares about brain cells?
Yeah, it wasn't a large wager, and like I said, the Travion Henderson was the play of the game for me. That was the one I really liked, and it didn't exactly cruise to the over, but whether you got 16 and a half, 17 and a half, or even 18 and a half, he got 19 yards, and that's a winner, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, that was a couple prop bets you had. You had Jackson Smith in Jigba at 6.5 catches. He only had 4 for 27 yards, and one of those was for 16 yards. So, only got like 11 more yards in those other catches. So, if you'd have told me he had under 30 yards for the game, I would have bet my mortgage payment on that because there's no way, but that's why I don't gamble too much because they
Especially
shut him
especially with
down.
the fact that for the most part, Seattle really wasn't effective running the ball, which was kind of what I thought. I thought Walker
Yeah,
would struggle. I thought they would have to do a lot of short passes. But like I said, when he goes down, when he's not 100%, and that does change the game plan. I mean, hindsight's 2020. Do I think if he'd stayed healthy, maybe he gets there? Sure. I mean, you never know how that game script can change. But that's just not how it works. Once you give your money to the book, they don't give it back just because a player gets hurt.
and I tell you what, he woulda had it woulda been you said it was a dominant game, and it was, but it would have been even more out of hand if it not been for Christian Gonzalez because he single-handedly saved 2 touchdowns, and I say single-handedly because he damn near dove out with one hand and knocked the ball away, him and Woodson. I mean, I know it like I said, at least 2 touchdowns, and one would be in Jigbe. He would have had a touchdown easy. He was walking in if it would not been for Christian Gonzalez, so you gotta give him props till the very end. That dude plays strong.
He did. And
I
he's
like
had
him.
a hell of a year. And you and I, we talk about our athletic prowess back in the days, and I think you and I are just good enough athletes to really appreciate when you watch what somebody like that does physically. That level of quickness, twitchiness. I mean, it's
Closing
just
speed.
yeah, it's out of this world. And again, God had a different plan for people like that. He blessed them with the ability to do that, and he gave me a face and a voice for radio.
Yeah. Uh, like I said, closing speed, just those last little bit. I mean, obviously, I'm a Deion Sanders. That's my all-time guy. I'm not gonna put him on that level, but he was up there looking Dale Green-like with making that closing speed at the end just to knock the ball away. That was just insane, and I kept thinking I even said special teams was gonna be the deciding factor, but I thought it was gonna be like a punt return at the end of the first half that gets them in a field goal range or something like that. That part didn't really pan out as far as the special teams from a punt aspect, but when it comes to kicking, when you say 5 for 5, I mean, you Jason Myers was a perfect for the night 5 for 5. I mean, that adds up. So that broke the
Yeah,
heart
and
of the Patriots early.
you probably could have won some prop bets on his over numbers, but there again, yeah, I think and Tyler touched on it on the preview episode. Once it became apparent that New England just was no offensive threat at all, I think at that point Seattle just kind of said, "Hey, we're just going to grind this thing down. We're just going to cruise to a victory." Because let's be real, New England was fairly lucky to get to 13 points. That game was never in question. Seattle was in control the whole time.
Well,
Uh,
like you
yeah,
were saying about Drake May wanting him, he should have ran the ball. Those touchdowns he scored were stayed alive on, I believe, third down plays where he actually did run the ball. I mean, he was getting hammered by of course, but run the ball. I don't get it why these young quarterbacks, and I get it. Everybody wants to be Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. We're like, hey, I'm just gonna stay in the pocket. But we have to run. That's my complaint with Michael Penix Jr. Move your feet, bro. You gotta move.
well, it's that, and then I give a shout out to my best friend Brian Nobles, who's a college football junkie like I am, and he and I will sit there on a Saturday and watch football. And the most frustrating thing in the world to me is on a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. You see a quarterback roll out, and then he slings it 40 yards down on a fade route, and you go, just pick up the dadgum first down. We don't need 40 yards right now. We need 4. And I know that it's all analytics and all numbers. You try to take the chunk plays whenever I get it. But at some point, let's have some situational awareness. And there were several opportunities last night. I felt like Drake May could have scrambled for a first down. And instead, he kept the play alive and then tried to sling it 20 yards down the field on a low percentage pass. And you call it sour grapes because I did say if you made me bet, I was going to take the Patriots. But I didn't have any skin in the game. I watched that game just as a fan. But even as a fan, I just kept saying, man, that would have been a more interesting game if he could have just kept the offense on the field a little bit.
It was hated by some because they were like, "That was just a low scoring, non-eventful game." But if you like defense, it had a little bit of defense in it. I enjoyed it. I like seeing Seattle get up there and go send the house at old Drake May and see how he's going to respond. In the end, I think he's going to be better for it because, man, if you can put up with that pressure in a Super Bowl, hopefully you can overcome anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I said, we keep coming back to it. All you can do is tip your hat to Seattle. Seattle was, whether they got the recognition or not, they were probably the class of the league most of the year. Look at the record; they got glossed over, and people may not have been paying attention, but they probably were the best team, or at least one of them. You got to give them credit. They went out there, they performed on the biggest stage, and they did what we needed to do, and gave us 2 remotely entertaining halves of football surrounding the best halftime show I've ever seen.
So we'll get to that. Greg went 2-2. I picked Seattle to win, so I got that one. I also picked Kenneth Walker to win the MVP, and I believe I picked lemon lime to be the color for the Gatorade, and that ended up being the color, was lemon
Oh, I
lime.
didn't even hang around to see that part.
And you picked I think you picked the over, didn't you?
No, I was on the under. I did get that part right.
Under. That's one of the ones you got right. That's right.
But
So
the only play I actually made a play on was the Travion Henderson. The others were leans that I would have played if I was, especially on the sides. Like I told you, that 4.5 number had me like it had me confused. I kept going back and forth, and ultimately, like I said, the Seahawks made more plays and covered, and it really wasn't even close. But man, it was actually a much better game than I think it will go down from a rating standpoint or get credit for. It was a well played football game in Seattle, and they just smothered New England.
yeah, everybody's gonna hate it unless you're Seattle. They're gonna love it, obviously. But it was not a close game, but I did too think that it was gonna be a close game, but shows I was not. I did think that there was gonna be some controversy with the halftime shows, and it turns out, there was, but wasn't at the same time. I don't think we'll get into it. Greg, you had some takes on social media about one Mr. Bad Bunny. I said I was looking forward to it because I respected what the man did as a caddy for Happy Gilmore and also as a wrestler in WWE. But Greg, give us your take on we'll start with the Bad Bunny halftime show.
Okay, and let me preface this by saying that I know that there are listeners to this show, maybe 2 of them, that probably don't agree with what I'm about to say and will not believe me when I say it. I mentioned the other day, I have never heard like this is a Super Bowl halftime performer and a Grammy winner, and I've never heard a note or a lyric from this individual. So I promise you, I genuinely watched the halftime show out of curiosity. I wanted to see what it was all about. I did not even flip over to the TPUSA. I watched the entire Super Bowl halftime show because I wanted to see this guy's this popular. This is and obviously it's been made a big deal. It's been made into this political thing. I promise you, I watched it with no intentions of political lenses. I just tried to watch the performance and it was awful. It was objectively awful. Now, I'm a 47-year-old white dude. I don't listen to a lot of music. I darn sure don't listen to pop music, and I don't speak Spanish. So it wasn't geared to entertain me. But just from a production values, I just did not think it was good. Looked like he was lip syncing about 80% of it. It just nothing impressed me about it. And immediately you go to social media and people who lean the other way are talking about how amazing it is, revolutionary. It's just this is just changing the world one music song at a time. And the worst part is I saw people who I know to be very apolitical. They don't get into this shit like we do. And they just went on there and said, "Hey, didn't appreciate the show, didn't enjoy it." People do that every year, but they got blasted. Oh, I mean, if it was predetermined, if you did not like Bad Bunny's performance, you are a white supremacist, Christian nationalist, racist bigot, and that's all it is. So put me in that category. I'm all of those things now because the show was effing terrible.
Like I said, I went in I had high hopes, even though like you said, we don't speak Spanish. But I didn't hardly know anything Kendrick Lamar said, and I enjoyed it last year. So I went in with high hopes. And to be honest, my wife and I, when it came time for the halftime show for Bad Bunny, we turned it off and flipped it over to TPSU or to watch the alternative halftime show. And I'll tell you why. And then I'll go back to Bad Bunny. But it takes real courage to go what Kid Rock, Lee Brice, Gabby Barrett, and Brantley Gilbert did, knowing how they were going to be perceived. It takes real courage to go and put their careers on the line for that halftime, if you call it halftime show that they did. It does not take courage to go up to the Grammys like Billie Eilish and say F Ice. Stop telling me she's courageous. She's not. That took real courage for them to do, and I want to see that in the future where we do have other options. So we turned off and went and watched Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and all them, knowing that I could watch the Bad Bunny this morning, which I did. But my take on the Bad Bunny, like I said, I was super excited. I was pumped for it because listen, his WWE entrance, which I posted the other day, was absolutely insane. I don't know what the hell he was saying, but it was awesome. I got into it. And look, it wouldn't be my choice. I totally understand why they did it. He's the most streamed artist. He's the king of streaming. I understand you want to do that. But George Strait is the king of country, but you're not going to put him at the World Cup. So it is a bit odd in what they were trying to do with that. And having said that, I was still pumped to watch it, thinking it was going to be great. I kept waiting for it to kick in to where it got good. And I know I didn't know anything they're saying, but it never had that pizzazz that I wanted, that I felt.
Take it a step further, David, and this will hopefully be a little bit of a testament to how open minded I actually was watching this performance. I kept waiting, thinking there's going to be a surprise. There's going to be something legit patriotic. They're going to have somebody join him. They're going to do something to try to make this a unifying moment and bring it all together. And I'm telling you, I watched the whole time thinking something's about to happen. Something's about to happen. You know what happened? Nothing.
Well, they brought Ronald Acuna was out there. Acuna was in the mix there, and Cardi B and Mandalorian, whatever hell his name is. Speaking of surprises, they did surprise us with Lady Gaga. And here's my take on Lady Gaga. She is very odd and weird. And she's also one of those that, to me, like Drew Barrymore. Sometimes you see her, you're like, man, she's hot. She's pretty good looking. And then other times you see her, you're like, what the hell is going on there? So she's one of those hot, sometimes hot, not all the time. But what she is to me is talented all the time. I
No
think
doubt.
she can sing, she can play. So the Lady Gaga, listen, you get me with that. I think she's talented as all get out. So I enjoyed that part of it. Um, Ricky Martin came out there. Wasn't he another one? Yeah, he came out there.
Yeah, had to
And
explain to him to the hot young wife. She doesn't, she
did
doesn't
you tell
remember
him
those
that he
days.
was a damn sex symbol back in the days that all the girls wanted to get with? I was so damn happy when he came out gay. I was like, see, that's what you get for being that damn good looking. You don't get no women. But listen, he don't age. I don't know if you wanna know what he looked like in 1998, it's that. He looked just like that. But he came out and I get it. I understand the cultural reasons behind it, and if there was something super uber political behind it, I didn't see it. I don't either that or it went over my head, much like the shit with Kendrick Lamar last year.
Well, no, and like I said, I mean, I didn't dislike it because of any sort of messaging. I don't know what the messaging was, if there was any
No,
messaging. I didn't understand a damn word of it. And I mean, I get that. I just sound like the grumpy old white dude screaming at the clouds.
it's not made
Um,
for us.
eh,
I get
yeah,
that.
and again, we knew that going in. It never was. But the premise is, and I think you and I touched on it going into the Super Bowl, and it turned out to be exactly what we. It was absolutely, it was just a psyop because they wanted to force people to go, "If you don't like it, you're a terrible person," knowing half the country wasn't gonna like it because that's just not like, when I listen to music, that ain't the music I'm gonna listen to. It just wasn't geared to me. It was not something I'm gonna be entertained by, and I'm sorry, but we've gotta get past this thing where just because you may not like something or may not choose to embrace something, it doesn't make you racist or a bigot or a sexist. We have to be allowed to have personal choices and have an opinion on something stylistically to say, "Hey, I enjoy this or I don't enjoy this." Hard as it is to believe, David, there are people that don't enjoy my company.
What?
Shocking. But I can't just call them racist or
I can
bigots or
think of one lady
sexist.
who may be that way, but go ahead.
No doubt.
Uh, Listen, the people that are telling us that we're political or tried to make everything political, tried their damnedest to make this Bad Bunny political. Like the little kid when he handed the trophy to the little kid that he's was looked like him. I get it. I think it's a great story coming from where he came from and all that. But they tried to say that that was the little Liam kid that was the 5-year-old that got left from ICE. They tried to put it as that, and they had to come out and be like, "No, that's not him," but I could tell it wasn't him because his daddy didn't get up and take off running and leave his ass like the real guy did. Stop giving me that story about Liam. Oh, poor guy. His daddy left him, okay? I'm sorry. That shit's messed up, and you'll never hear me say that that guy's a good guy for leaving his son. I don't give a damn if I'm about to get arrested. I'm not gonna run off and leave my 5-year-old, but that was not the Liam kid from the Bad Bunny show.
That's just the latest or one of the latest examples of why we are where we are and why we can't even have legitimate conversations anymore because you take an example like that and they continue to try to tell us that ICE detained and arrested this 5-year-old kid. We all know the story. We all know the truth, but they're still selling it. And when you got like when you deal with that, I go, how do I trust anything you say? How do I believe or take your side or give you any credibility at all when you continue to try to sell me shit that I know is untrue?
They kept trying to make it political as much they could, and like I said, it didn't get me with that pizzazz. I get the dancing and all that, but I've heard better beats that he's put out on the WWE thing. That's what I'm saying. So I
Again,
just wanted a little more bass into it. The storyline it, but as far as Puerto Rico and all that, which, hey, he's Puerto Rican. Puerto Rico is part of America, so I don't know why we got to be anti-American if we're pulling for Bad Bunny or vice versa. I'm for him. Hell, I like the guy.
well, and just for a frame of reference, last year's halftime show I went into with the same mentality, and I'd never heard a Kendrick Lamar song, and I now have Kendrick Lamar on my playlist. So
Yeah.
I'm not totally racist and bigoted. I am an open-minded person. I became a Kendrick Lamar fan because of last year's Super Bowl halftime show. I'd never heard it.
Well, it's ridiculous, and like you said, it went in preconceived that if you were against it or you wasn't, if you didn't like it, then that means you're racist. You're not for it. Which I promise you, the same people that are praising it, like you said, if they dug deep down, and be like, I didn't get it. It wasn't for me, but they can't say that because they're
Exactly. They
scared.
have to
They're
support it.
terrified to be labeled as somebody like you or I who just tells it like it is. God
Well,
forbid, you know?
uh, well, and I absolutely hate it, but it's the one thing you have to give the left credit for is they are far more unified than we are. They will stick to a position no matter how wrong it is, and they will stand there.
If you did not like Bad Bunny, then you just didn't like the Bad Bunny show. That is what it is. If you did not like the other show that was put on, I don't mean you hate America, not to me. I think it's great to have options. That's the main reason Brooke and I went and had and watched the other one because next year, let's say they have somebody I don't like who is U2. I'm not a U2 fan. Say they bring U2 back, and then Jay-Z wants to put on a show with I don't know, whoever, Kendrick Lamar together. I'll probably go watch Kendrick Lamar and Jay-Z. And I love having the options. I give it huge balls to the guys to go put on another halftime show. And did you go see I saw it. Did you go watch the other halftime show?
Nope.
You haven't
Didn't
seen
want
it?
to be that racist.
You are racist for not going to see it. I'm just saying. I wanted to see both just because, because of what we do. But also, I would just watch both anyways. And I'm not a huge Kid Rock fan, but I did see it posted by people on Facebook. Like you said, they said, why do we need two halftime shows? Are we that divided? I'm like, well, I didn't see that post when we had two anthems. When they sang the Black National Anthem, I didn't see you posting why do we have to have two anthems? If you have that stance on one, then you have that stance on both. I personally don't care if you want to sing the quote unquote black national anthem as they call it. Whatever. It's fine by me. You give that option. That's a choice. But if you're gonna be for that, then you can't say be having two halftime shows racist.
I mean, I'll take it a step further, David. Let's have no halftime shows. Let's just play football.
Well, I mean, I've done came to love the halftime show, Greg, damn it. Need I remind you of Michael Jackson or
Just because
Prince,
one
which I'll
time
get
as a
in.
younger man, you got to see Janet Jackson's boob, and you
I
thought ever since
did.
then
I
you can't wait for
did.
the Super Bowl halftime
I
shows.
wish HD was more prominent back then. It was not. I was like, "Is that a boob? What is that?" But and Prince was the best of all time, which we'll get into a little Prince later because I have a take on that. But I also saw it put that if you were these are people from my social media. This is the ridiculousness put out there and makes you want to go hard in the paint the other way just because of how stupid it is. They said if you are for two halftime shows, then you're the same people that were for two water fountains. I was like, are you effing kidding me? That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Because I want to watch another genre of music, I'm for separating water fountains. The stupidity these days is just unreal in the hypocrisy.
Well, and like you said, that's after playing the alternate national anthem right before the show.
Not one damn word said of anything about that.
But that's where you get into, and neither one of us is ever going to be accused of going overly deep from a philosophical standpoint. But that's where like, how do you even have like communications? I don't even want to call them arguments, but how do you debate? How do you logically try to work through any sort of problem solving communication scenario with these people when they're just that wrong, like like hypocritical, that not even aware of reality, it seems.
I don't there's I try to find myself where I'm like, "Hey, listen, I'm trying to be open-minded to both sides and this and that." But the more one-sided that the left seems to be, and I even feel bad saying the left, but the more one-sided they become, the more it kinda leans me to the right, and I'm trying to be as close to the middle as I can, but damn it, man, I can't listen to damn music without being racist? That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard, and it drives me damn crazy.
You and I fully intended to watch the TP USA halftime show, but as it got down to that moment, I said, "You know what? Nope, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna watch this." And I actually did it partially out of curiosity, but there was a hint of optimism. Like, I really thought somewhere, I go, "You know what? They've made this into such a thing. Somewhere the NFL is gonna capitalize on the moment, and they're gonna do something surprising, patriotic, and bring out somebody that will unify." And it just didn't happen, and that just it's just where we are. And the fact is it was absolutely designed to be a political psyop because they had it canned from the beginning. If you don't like that show, you are a racist. That's all it is.
They threw out a "God Bless America." That was the one part I understood, and he had a football that said, "America, we are better together," which, hell, I agree, and also it posted on the big screen that it said, "Only love can, you know, win out against hate." I'm like, "Well, tell that to the guys beating the shit out of cars up in Minnesota for against police officers who are doing their job. What kind of love is that show? The people that are blowing whistles for people that are breaking the law. How about show some love that way?" But no, I love my kids, but I don't love my kids if I don't discipline them. If they don't have laws or rules they got to follow. If you really love somebody and you want to treat them right, then you have to have rules, plain and simple. Fences make good neighbors. Borders make good neighboring countries. It's you got a rule, you got to follow it. I don't understand, but I guess that's hate. God forbid making somebody follow rules is hate. But that's another story. We won't get into the whole ICE debacle. But I watched the TPSU halftime show. Is it Turning Point USA? Ain't that what it is?
USA, David. It's where we live.
TP USA. Yeah.
USA.
I can see that tells you how little I even pay attention to that part of it. But anyways, I did watch it because I wanted to support them because, like I said, it takes real courage to do it. Even though I wasn't super excited, I'm not the biggest Kid Rock fan. And Gabby Barrett, I was like, I can't name one song of hers. Lee Bryce, I was like, I mean, I don't know, whatever. And Brantley Gilbert, I knew I wasn't a huge fan of. It just I don't get his groveling ways, his voice, which is funny for me to talk about somebody's voice sounding bad, but it didn't do it for me. And I will say, I was absolutely blown away at how good it really was. And it wasn't in your face right wing political ideology. It was all about love, Christianity, if you want to put a hint of that in some ways. But Brantley Gilbert started out, sang a couple songs and was pretty good. But I thought it was pretty good, and then some others came on. What you got, Greg?
You want me to tell you why I think that is? And this
What's
may
that?
actually be a little deep for some people, but the Super
You
Bowl
know I can't go deep. I don't have that kind of brain
y
power.
y you'll follow me on this. The Super Bowl halftime show, think about this, was designed for the people that didn't like it. It was designed to be hated and generate that reaction. The
Controversy sells.
TPUSA halftime show was designed for people who wanted to watch it, who loved that music and wanted to be a part of it. So I can't help but think that that might be a little bit of why the quality was when you're pouring into something for the right reasons and for good intentions and for a good cause. I tend to think it just shows up better. It comes across better. And let's be real. Look, all the lights and the dancing and the pyrotechnics for Bad Bunny, it was all there. But everybody knows that show was designed to piss people off, to make people mad, to anger half the people watching it. And I think
Controversy
that's why it came
sells.
across as poorly as it did.
Yeah. It was just a pure singing scenario for the, TP USA for the most part. Like I said, Bradley Gilbert, he sang, Dirt Road Anthem. I like that, and another song that was good, had a good message, and his story's pretty good too. I think he was a alcoholic or something along those lines. Used to live right down the road from me, about 20 minutes. Much bigger house, obviously. But then I believe Gabby Barrett came out, and I remember saying, like, I don't know any of her songs. I'd be damned if I didn't know every one she sang and enjoyed it. Little did I know I couldn't have picked her out in a lineup, but just a phenomenal job and great just songs, just flat out singing.
You know, there's a plethora of undiscovered talent out there, and I think sometimes we get caught off guard when we see somebody and they go, "Holy shit, they're just really, really
Yes.
good."
And it could sing, sounded great, good song, good lyrics, nothing controversial by no means. Like I said, nobody was like doing a Trump chant or anything, so it wasn't exactly in your face, but it was just a great music and I enjoyed the hell out of it. And then Lee Bryce came out there, and once he started singing, I was like, "Oh, I know that voice." Boy, as good as Kid Rock was on his one song that I did like, Lee Bryce, holy crap, dude. He had a song called Country Nowadays that I can't wait to come out. I'd search for it the second it was over, and it wasn't out yet, and I hope it comes out soon. He got me, man. I almost teared up at it, and it was just simple. I love my country, love my job, love my life, like, nothing bad, just great. But wow, Lee Bryce, you got a new fan in me, sir. Good job.
Hey, I've always been a fan of his, and there again, I think you're touching on it's the core of what they're singing about, and I think that comes across, and when you're when something's genuine and something's organic and something's pure, and especially when you're talking about something that you love or you're passionate about, from an artistic standpoint, I think that's where beauty comes from, and I just think that's why it's so much easier to appreciate that sort of thing because I mean, who are we kidding? You don't think to some degree Mr. Benito Bunny guy knew that half those fans hated him? You don't think he knew what he was being used for? He knew that, and I guarantee you that affects a performance from an artist standpoint. If you're performing for a group of people that you know love you, you know support you, you know are right there with you emotionally, that is a completely different performance from an artistic standpoint than if you're out there and you know you're being used for a political statement.
He he was, but again, I wanna go back and say that I believe in the fact that I understand why they chose him because he is the biggest streamed artist in the world. You gotta give that some credence, and this is one of the biggest shows seen in the world. I mean, I don't know the viewership, but it's pretty insane. So I get it from that standpoint, but again, if you didn't like it, you're not racist, and if you watched the other one, you're not racist either. But I thought the TP USA show, I got it right that time, was great. And I did expect Erica Kirk to come out at some point, but she did not. I didn't want to go Candace Owens on you, but I was thought there was something controversial to that. But like I said, I touched on Brantley Gilbert. It was good. Better than I expected. Gabby Barrett, turns out I was a fan, didn't know it. I just liked her music, didn't realize it was her. Lee Bryce, wow, new big fan, huge fan now, just phenomenal.
I bet if we can ever get Gabby to listen to the podcast, she'll be a huge fan of yours. She just doesn't
I
know it yet either.
bet she would. She ain't listen. She ain't hard to look at either. Is all I'm saying. Them country. Listen, you give me a country girl with an accent and some looks, you got me. Miranda Lambert, that little Twain, and Lainey Wilson. I'll take that over a New York accent any day. No disrespect to Emily. Sorry. You know who I'm talking about. Emily's, anyways. But then we get to Kid Rock, and a lot of controversy around Kid Rock, of course, that comes out. But I'll critique his performance first before we get into what the controversy was. He comes out, obviously the pyro and the things, and he pops up from the bottom and starts with a ba with the ba, which is still a great song. I mean, it still gets you moving for damn sure.
Has
I
to,
mean,
yeah. That's
I mean,
that's
how
got to
can you
get the blood
not?
flowing.
I mean, come on. He's in cut off blue jeans, which is listen, screams America to me. That's all I'm saying. And
You grew up in
I,
Thomaston.
that's true. And that was my swimsuit as a kid. I didn't have no swimsuit. We had cut off jeans, baby. And Po Bitty Creek, jumping off the bridge, getting in took about 3 days to dry. But anyways, uh it was recorded, it seemed like. Yeah, it was obviously lip sync, the ba with the ba was because Kid Rock, look, bro, if you're gonna lip sync, at least keep the microphone to your mouth while you're singing. Because if you put the microphone way out here, clearly we know you're not singing it, damn it. So he did not do a good job with that. And there were a couple cut scenes. I'm sure they had to pre-record it because give Bad Bunny credit. His was live as far as the production and everything. This seemed to be put together for a time standpoint, which I can understand because you're at the mercy of the NFL whenever their halftime is. But anyways, he comes up, he does Ba with the Ba, which is probably about 5 or 6 bars, not a whole lot. He doesn't do the whole song. And then the screen goes black. And then they bring up, it may have been before that, they brought up these 4 black guys. They said, "Let me introduce my friend, Kid Rock." And if I had to be critical, of course you're gonna put black guys out there to make it look like, "See, I got black friends," which he does. He's always been like around the earth, but that seemed staged to me to bring out the black guy.
I mean, Kid Rock's from Detroit, and he started off as
Hey,
a rapper. I'm pretty sure
I
he's got
I
some
bet they
some
were his
homies.
friends. I
Yeah.
bet they were his friends. It just I guarantee you somebody's gonna say something about it. But anyways, I'll get back to the main. He came out again, and they came up and said, "Let me introduce you to Robert Ritchie," which I guess is his real name, Bob Ritchie, I believe. And he sang "Till You Can't" by Cody Johnson, but he added his own little lyric that produced was about a Bible, breaking out the Bible, and man, not a dry eye in the house I've seen it. It was I look over at Brooke, she was feeling it because she loves first off, she loves Cody Johnson. Second of all, just the way Kid Rock, when he sings like that, even though that I put your picture away, I didn't care for that. But I did like this one when he's actually singing. I thought it was well done. I encourage you to go listen. I've already downloaded on my Apple Music. Uh, I thought it was great. I mean, way better. The whole show itself was way better than I ever thought it would be as far as the TP USA show, Turning Point USA. Kid Rock did great. I thought it was phenomenal. Now, we'll get to the controversy surrounding Kid Rock, but Greg, are you a Kid Rock fan and are you going to go back and watch this show? Which was kind
Uh,
of hard to find
I
at first.
I probably will not go back and watch the show. I would probably say I am a Kid Rock fan. I mean, I've got
Left
several of his
wing nut
albums.
job you are.
Yeah, like I'm just not a music guy. I will admit that I don't think Kid Rock has ever had what I would call a good album. He's had some good songs, and I've bought several albums for a
You
couple
don't
of
remember
songs here and
Cadillac
there.
P word? That was a good one.
Oh, dude, I go back to his first album, The Polyfuse Method, and if you hadn't found that one, you need to go find The
Listen,
Polyfuse Method.
he's got
It
some.
sounds nothing like the Kid Rock we know today.
No,
Um,
no.
but, yeah, I guess I am a fan, but I will also admit, and this will be the biasness coming out. At this stage, where I am in life, it'd be hard not to consider myself a fan of somebody who's saying and standing up for what he's saying and standing up for.
Yeah. Speaking of the controversial part of it, and speaking of Kid Rock lyrics from back in the day, the controversy going around is a Kid Rock lyric from back in 2001, something like that, from a song called "Cool Daddy Cool," which, by the way, was often Osmosis Jones' cartoon movie. So that take that first off, it's off a cartoon movie. But the lyrics goes, young ladies, I like 'em underage. Some say that's statutory." Then Joe C., the little short guy that used to be with him, says, "But I call it mandatory." So everybody's telling me that I'm for pedophilia because I watched the Kid Rock show. Not only am I racist, I'm pedophilia because I'm supporting a Kid Rock who once sang that he likes them underage in a song, mind you, in a song that was made for a cartoon movie back in the day. Now, I went and checked because I see everybody posting that on social media. And I went to the ones who did it and I tried to go check and see if they had that same outrage when Eminem and Dr. Dre sang and Snoop Dogg sang some years back when a lot of them claimed that was the best halftime show of all time. I didn't see any outrage then. And I don't know if you've heard some of the lyrics from Eminem, but there's a lot of rape talk. There's a lot of killing my ex mama talk. And in fact, before I let you go, Greg, let me see if I can find the lyric. Oh, here it is from I'm Back from Eminem. I'll take 7 kids from Columbine, stand them in a line, at an AK-47, a revolver, and a 9, and a Mac 11, and it ought to solve a problem of mine. So if we're going to dissect lyrics and base people's fandom off of some lyrics, which is an art form, then we got a long line of people that you better be pissed off at, because don't come at me with this bullshit about I'm racist or I'm for pedophilia because Kid Rock once said a lyric about an underage girl.
David, I hate to do this to you, and I know that this is likely going to cause the entire world or walls of your world to come crumbling down, but there's double standards out there, man. They play by different rules than we do.
Knock me down with a feather. The
It's a fact.
hypocrisy reigns. It
Yeah, and
blows
I'm
my
with you.
mind.
And and I look, whether it's Kid Rock, Jelly Roll, there's a lot of stories out there now where you hope it's a legitimate feel good story with somebody who's had some demons in their past and overcome some struggles and get in the book and find Christ and save themselves and you hope it's genuine, you hope it's real. Um, I haven't shared any personal details, but that's a story I can relate to, and I think that's part of what makes that music easy to get into, easy to feel, and to get that emotional connection to. Because you know, uh, are those lyrics atrocious? Absolutely. Should those have ever been put on paper in a song? Absolutely not. Is it the worst example we've heard? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, and I tell everybody, and I've told my wife and I've told my kids, and I should tell you, you knew me before I found my faith. I don't want to be judged for that guy. I don't want to be judged for the decisions I made. I don't want to be judged for the behavior I made. I did not have Christ at the center of my life, and that was a different human being behaving back then. Well, if I'm going to ask for that same kind of grace, then I got to give it to the other people. I got to give it to a guy like Jelly Roll. I got to give it to a guy like Kid Rock. And if he says he's different now, and he says that, if he says those were just lyrics, all right, I get it. You got to rhyme. So Lord knows I think there was a song one time way back when about a giant one-eyed, one-horned, giant purple people eater. I don't think that was real either. You can't take everything literal.
Look, if people change, then that's great. I think that's phenomenal, and that's something I take big into account. People have changed. But also, you can't say it's art form in one scenario and not in another. I mean, if you're gonna tell me that, oh, Robert De Niro and Taxi Driver, that's just an art where he was trying to bang Jodie Foster, who was underage. Okay, am I supposed to hate everything Robert De Niro does because he did it in an art form? Am I supposed to hate Dr. Dre because he talks about slapping bitches and all that? Although in a different scenario, Dr. Dre actually did slap some bitches, as he calls it. Need I remind you, D Barnes, that he beat the shit out of back in the day, like in
Mhm.
91, and ended up getting a crime for? Oh, but put him out there and we're going to clap. Nobody's going to say one word about that. God forbid. Every lyric from back in the day, if you want to go that about shooting and killing people, the first thing I heard was, well, that's just art. That's just him expressing himself. Well, then stop fucking bitching when it's Kid Rock saying it then. You can't have double standards. Make your damn mind up. Either if it's an art form or you're going to take it for its word. Because if we're taking it for its word, there ain't a damn hip hop artist out there, Harley, that shouldn't be arrested. But I don't think that's the case. I think they're just rapping and using art form. I'm just saying, and I do like Dr. Dre, but let's don't act like he's a saint. But not one word was said about these people, that the same ones that are criticizing the TPSU show right now because of Kid Rock. Not one person said it. The hypocrisy is ridiculous.
Well, and I'll take it a step further. I'll take it, and you and I are the same generation. So I'm of the generation we grew up when they started slapping those parental advisory explicit lyrics
Yeah.
labels on the CDs, and I used to hate that crap because my mom wouldn't let me buy those albums, and I hated that stuff. But at the end of the day, do we need to have those types of lyrics out there for any kind of music? I don't care whether it's rock, rap. There's bad lyrics in all kind of genres of music. There are people singing about and saying things that you absolutely hope are not true, because if they are high degrees of felonies. But you can't hold people to account like that. Do I think some of the gangster rap has had a negative impact on our community because some of the things people are allowed to put in the songs? Yeah, absolutely. I think it's
I
terrible.
think
I
so
wish it
too.
wasn't
And
the
I'm
case.
guilty of listening the hell out of it back in the day. Hell, I
We all
used to
do.
rap like I was a young thug, and I ain't know nothing about thug. I came from a trailer park, not the ghetto. I didn't know anything about that. But I rapped it and enjoyed it and appreciated it and spent my money on it. But if you're going to hold them account, you got to hold everybody for account. Need I remind you a little song by some Bruce Springsteen who hates my type? Hey, little girl, is your daddy home? Did he
Well,
go and leave
let's
you
take
all
it let's take
alone?
it to the end all be all for this conversation, David. You and I both listen to several artists and have several albums in our collection, and probably have songs on our phone right now that say that magic word that nobody's allowed to say. So
Yeah.
if so now if I'm singing along to a song and I say that word, what's that mean for me?
No, I agree.
Does
I'm
that mean I'm a
listen.
racist? That mean, I mean, you can't. It's just songs. It's song lyrics. You can't make it into more than that.
I think the N word is a bad word that has bad connotation and should be banned, much like the R word for mentally handicapped should not be said whatsoever, no matter what color, creed, or anything. So I think it should be gone completely out of your vernacular. Um, but my point was basically is the fact that if you're going to be upset about a song lyric, then you're gonna have a whole hell of a tough time trying to figure out somebody to play the halftime show. Because to me, for my money, Prince is like the best halftime show performance ever. I mean, you're gonna sing Purple Rain with a purple guitar in the damn rain that's coming down during the halftime. I mean, hell, that's hard to beat. But he also has a song called Sister about banging his sister and incest. So I'm like, if you ain't upset at that, then you can't be upset with something that Kid Rock said. If he was still up there preaching it and singing it, that's one thing. But we're talking about a long time ago when he was probably 18 himself. So underage was probably like 17. He didn't say like pedophilia. But either way, it's a horrible lyric, and I get it, but there's a whole hell of a lot of horrible lyrics that if your ass didn't get upset then don't try to get upset now. And I saw many people say on social media that the show was racist and full with hatred. And that tells me 100% that you did not watch that damn show, because not one bit of it was hatred. Not one bit of it was racist. Not one bit. So you're a damn lie, and you're the one that's being one-sided. I actually watched both of the damn shows. If you didn't watch both of the shows and you want to critique it, Greg, I'm talking to you, go watch it. Then or at least you're critiquing Bad Bunny and you watch Bad Bunny. If you're going to critique something, then go watch it. You dumbasses that are out here talking about the show that didn't even watch it. Nobody takes your ass serious except the same giddy people that are going to hit like, and have the same little comments. And most of it, to their credit, it's not black people, it's white people that want to be this white savior that drives me crazy. Because I'm like, you don't have to, you think that if you don't come out like, oh, if I don't say anything bad, you ain't got to say nothing. Black people don't need your help. They damn sure don't need my help. You're the one that's trying to talk up for them and speak for them. Hell, I think they're more than capable of doing shit. That's like this whole anti-ID thing. Oh, well, it's going to affect black people. Why? They don't know how to get IDs? They damn sure do. I don't know if you're taking a look around, but there's a lot of successful black folks, plenty. So you're the one that sounds fucking stupid and racist by thinking they can't do nothing for themselves. I'm sorry, dude. I'm just hot. It just drives me crazy.
Yeah, don't get me started on the ID thing. I had to show my ID at Ingles the other day to buy freaking cold medicine, and I'm going, okay, if I've got to show ID to buy cold medicine because I got the sniffles, I think we should be required to present an ID to make what is ultimately the most important decision anybody can possibly make in electing the most powerful person on the planet. So yeah, I think the ID thing that's a whole different subject. I'm sure we'll discuss
Yeah,
that.
we'll get another show
later.
in there. I don't know how the hell I got to that. I just was ranting about the fact that the same damn people want to post something and try to look sanctimonious, like, oh, look at me, I'm standing up to the other side. Like, no, you're just doing it for a reaction to try to make yourself feel better. I don't feel guilty. If you feel guilty that you got to claim that, keep telling everybody you're not racist, then somewhere deep down you may be, because I don't have to claim it or say it, because hell, I'm not. So that's how I feel about you putting these little weak ass comments talking about, oh, that sounds racist and hatred when you didn't even watch the damn thing. Just because I love America, just because I like a certain genre of music does not mean I'm racist. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And if your punk ass is doing it and posting it on social media trying to say that I am, then that's on you, because you're the one that must feel guilty. I don't feel not one bit of white guilt because I ain't did shit. I come from poor families. Hell, I wish I had some scenarios people came up with.
Well, that's the frustrating thing, and I know that's why you and I both get so emotional when we start talking about this stuff, is because, and you and I both try to engage on social media. We try to engage with people who have different opinions, and we try to get some dialogue going, because I'm openly curious. I know people who are on the other side, and I know them to be smart, intelligent, kind, caring, good people. They're not horrible monsters.
Yeah.
So I try to engage and go, hey, explain this to me. Explain how you see this scenario to me. But the problem is, every time you try to engage, you just get called names. You just get told well, at some point you just shut down and you start going, look, it goes back to it's the boy who cried wolf analogy. I have so many countless times of evidence of completely, taking things out of context, completely misusing the narrative and showing things that we know are not factually. Like I said, the 5-year-old boy arrested and detained by ICE. We know that is factually not true, and they're still trying to sell it. So then when you try to engage on a legitimate topic and all you get is name calling and all this, you go, man, why am I even trying to have a conversation with these people? We have to have conversations. That's the only way we can improve anything.
I know. And you think they would be more open to it, but like I've said before, and I'll keep saying it, if everything is racist, then nothing's racist. You want to diminish the meaning of actual racism when you keep making every single thing somebody else that you don't agree with is racist. It downplays the true meaning of racism. Now, in what's
Well,
known
and
as
I
the
shared
worst,
I shared a brief story, and I won't say who it is because I don't want to call anybody out. But there's one particular person who I saw get her lunch eaten on Facebook last night, and this is somebody who I bet you, if you go back through her timeline, has made a post about every Super Bowl halftime show for the last decade, and her opinion and what she thought, and she made it nothing political, completely anti-messaging of anything. She just said, "Hey, I didn't think it was a good performance. I didn't enjoy it." And got roasted. And I'm just going, that's the because I know this person. This is not somebody who meant any, probably doesn't even know that it was a political discussion until she got lit up on Facebook last night. And that's where you look at it and go, man, they're just looking for reasons to attack.
and look, like I said, if just because you didn't like Bad Bunny doesn't mean you're racist. Now, on the in a horrible segue, Trump, man, what the hell, bro? Like, bro, Trump, President Donald Trump. I want to believe, which I do believe, that you're just simply an old man that does not know how to edit a video. But damn, man, if you
I
don't
mean,
know
I'll
what I'm
take it a
talking
step further.
about,
I, I,
tell them
I
what we're
would
talking about.
we're talking about the video that was released, and it was the story is it was basically a theme of King of the Jungle, but the the point that's got everybody up in arms was the Obamas being depicted as monkeys and how racist that comes across. And
It
I mean,
does.
look,
I think it
yeah, I
does
mean,
personally.
there's not
I
a lot
mean,
of
there's no
defense for
ifs,
it.
ands, or buts about it.
I mean, you could make the argument, and I would 100% believe it. I know it's just because they're going to say I'm a Trump. I would believe if he had no clue it was even posted, released. I would believe 100% if he had nothing to do with it. But it's completely bad form. It's completely bad taste. Do I get the can you mask it with the whole King of the Jungle theme and say, yeah, well, it just happens that yeah, look, it definitely comes across racist. It's definitely just bad taste. And you and I've talked about it. Do we support him? Did we vote for him? Absolutely. Do I think he was the best candidate? Absolutely. Do I think he's doing a great job? Absolutely. Do I wish he'd have kept his freaking finger in his pocket and not hit send on that? Absolutely. Terrible look, terrible. And again, for what we're dealing with in our country right now, that is not helpful in any way, shape, or form. And I am the world's worst about timing and smart ass comments. And I will stick my foot in my mouth so fast trying to say something funny and be sitting in a room full of people and being dead ass quiet because I said something I shouldn't have said because I thought it was funny. I get it. I've been there. We've all been there. You can't do it as the president of the United States. You can't put that out there. You can't have somebody on your team put that out there. And he's kind of in a bad situation now because I I would be inclined to believe again. I don't think he did that himself, but if he goes out there and they try to make a statement and fire somebody or whatever for whoever did release it, well, then they're just going to say they're making a scapegoat, and the left will attack him for that. So I think, I mean, at this point, it was a terrible look. It's terrible form. I can't support it. I support what he's doing as president. I support how he's running the country. This was a bad look, bad, just bad form, and there's nothing you can say to defend it.
There's not. I mean, if which I'm not against criticizing Trump. I always criticize. I try to criticize more of the people that I actually vote for than I do the ones I don't, because the ones I don't vote for, I expect them to be bad. That's why I didn't vote for him. But I did vote for Trump several times. And listen, if there's a main critique I can say about Trump is he will never admit fault. He will never apologize. He's never going to say sorry. And in this case, I don't think it would be sorry in the fact of like, sorry that I posted this, I'm racist. I think it's be sorry in the fact that I overlooked the fact that the video ran long. And I've done screen recordings where I've tried to put on the show. I'm trying to figure it out. And if you're on Twitter or X, dude, you can have one video and then right after something totally different of the point. Listen, there's a lot of videos I watch. I watch a Trump dance that I love and all that. And then right after that, it's them talking about how much they hate Trump and all that, or something extremely racist right after that. It's not nothing I'm looking up. It just comes up in my algorithm. And I know you're going to say, well, in your algorithm, that just goes by what you like. Not necessarily. Like I said, I have stuff come up anti Trump. That ain't what I like, but it pops up because I look up everything. So I think he or whomever was in charge of his social media because I watched The Art of the Surge that Tucker Carlson put out, and Tucker Carlton, not Carlson. Uh, he put it showed him like when the debate and everything, like the whole team behind the scenes, just he was just talking and it was just writing everything they did. So he had guys that are doing it. He doesn't necessarily go on there and type himself. I mean, hell, that's not the case. So somebody either accidentally or stupidly put up that video at the end of the video, which the main point of the video was about voter fraud and everything that's getting swept under the rug. But you do something stupid like that, you either need to apologize or somebody's got a head's got to roll for it. But like you said, it's a lose-lose scenario. It's nobody's going to think that he's not racist according to the left, even no matter what he does, how many African Americans he hires or helps or does whatever for. It's not going to matter. He's quote unquote known as a racist. But the video itself, no excuse for, stupid. I wish it wouldn't happen. I wish it wasn't made in the first place by whomever made it. You just can't have that. Period.
Well, as somebody who is an expert on this particular subject, I sometimes you just go,
Racism.
why? Well, probably. No, why make things harder on yourself than they have to be? Let's be real. The dude's already facing some challenges because he is hated more than anybody on this planet has ever been hated. And I mean, again, you can kind of sort of say maybe there's a humor attempt in there. I can't for the life of me think how anybody can justify or say they thought this was in any way a good idea. And I try, and it's very hard, but I try to judge most anything I say on what the intentions were. Not necessarily, it's the whole judge the message, not the delivery. What were they trying to tell me? What were they trying to get across? And I get the message. I get it. But son of a, there's got to be a better way to get that message out
Man,
there than that
bro, like
video.
I mean, the Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and sombreros,
That
that
was
one made
funny.
me laugh. That one
That
made me
was funny.
laugh. And it could be a little bit, but this one, there's no funny in this. There's no you just know that's something you can't do. Just ask Roseanne Barr. You can't do that, and I'm not for that, and by no means. Having said that, I don't think it was intentional. I don't think he would be subliminally telling us he's racist because the guy doesn't do anything just half-heartedly. If he wanted to
Well,
come
and
out against something or someone, he doesn't just sneak it in there. He goes full bore.
and obviously, neither one of us know the man personally, but I have heard enough people speak of encounters with him, and there's nothing in me that inclined to believe that he's a racist. In fact, I would be inclined to think he may be as far from a racist as just about anybody we have in political office these days. I think he's very much of a pragmatist. I think he's just a deal maker. I don't think he cares whether you white, black, brown, or purple. I think he just go, can you help me advance the deal? Can we get things done
Exactly.
together?
If you can make me
And again,
money,
that sometimes blows up in his face. I don't think Donald Trump is racist. I think he's a lot of things. I think he has a tremendous boatload of bad qualities, but I think he's doing a damn good job as the president. And I hope we can find a way to let this pass. And like I said, if yeah, I guess the best option is if whoever did this just dives on the grenade, comes out there and makes a social media post, go, hey, look, I did it. I thought it was funny. It was bad form. I apologize. I resign. They'll still say it's fake. They'll still say Trump did it and he's just throwing somebody under the bus. We know what play card they're going to come out with. But I think that's the only course of action. You got to make some sort of statement. You got to get out in front of it and then just hope it goes away after that.
listen, I don't agree with everything he did. Like you said, I
Nope.
don't think this is something that he wanted to do. Uh, just put out there that he's racist. But hell, there's a lot of shit that I don't like. I don't like this whole him making money or his family money off of cryptocurrency and all that. I don't like a lot of the deals over Middle East. I don't like him getting a plane from Qatar and all that. But I can say that I didn't hear not one person on the left complain anything about Joe Biden back in the day, like nothing. Now that shit was behind your face, behind that you couldn't even see, but not one word was said. I can critique
No,
my guy.
and I agree with you. There's a lot of decisions he's made and a lot of choices he's made that I don't agree with and don't support. But I come back to some of the common sense approaches, and he was not on the side that was trying to tell me that boys should be going into my little girl's locker rooms. That was a big
Yep,
deal for me.
that common sense is what won this damn election, and I hope it happens in the midterms. But I got a feeling we're gonna get waxed, and just hope we don't learn the hard way. In no way do we support that video that was put out, but at the same token, I don't think it was intentional that he put that out. I think it's just a mistake that an old man makes trying to do a video. I don't know, but having done a few videos myself, I can see where it easily strolls to the next one. But I think that's our show for the day, Greg. I think we caught up everybody on pretty good. We're gonna try to do a few more shows throughout the week because be honest with you, we just like doing it, and we have no other friends, so we just kind of like talking to each other. But that's a recap of the Super Bowl, the halftime shows, controversial or not, and then of course the Trump video. Greg, anything else you want to add to anybody?
No, just the usual. Y'all hit like, subscribe, share the video. Y'all find us on Facebook, comment, share your feedback with us. If there's anything you would like us to discuss, we're open. We've Dave and I are pretty opinionated. We'll talk about just about anything. So if there's
100.
a topic that you've if for some ungodly reason you find yourself laying around in the middle of the night going, I wonder what David thinks about this topic, shoot it out there. We'll gladly let you know exactly what we think.
Whether you like it or not, I'll tell it. I mean, I'm not scared to say my opinion.
But other than that, yeah, y'all help us get the word out there. We think we're doing something good, and I can assure you it's positive intentions, and we hope it's for a good cause. Get in your Bible, say your prayers. We love y'all, and God bless.
Yeah, with Tyler, we had a little test run on having multiple people on, and we got a few more people wanting to come on. Oh, Christina says she wants to come on because she wants to. She says she agrees with you more than me. I'm just saying it kind of hurt, but she is the type that would wear. She has worn a Trump jersey at a baseball game, but she'll wear a Trump jersey to a damn Whole Foods. She ain't scared. She is not scared to tell her opinion. So she might be a good one to have on. Got another buddy who wants to come on and talk about travel ball sports, but we're going to try to do a lot of those things. But guys, appreciate you for listening. Thanks for all the likes, the feedback and everything, good or bad. I've seen the comments are bad. I understand. I get it. You don't like me. I'll take it. But either way, I appreciate it. Gregory, thanks for your time, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Y'all be good. Till next time.
See you
Love y'all.
guys. See you guys.